happy Christmas. It is literally my favorite time of the year. I am all about Christmas. I don't celebrate all the other holidays, but I just love Christmas. And Chinese New Year, it's one of my favorites. Anyway, so since we're towards the end of the year, I would like to do a summary on some of the visas, different states, 189s, 190s, everything, and summarize what's been happening and see if we can predict any trends. However, you'll see that through my video, especially the one I'm talking about today, which is the 189 visa, it's a little bit unpredictable. But we'll talk about what we've actually been taught about the 189, follow that, and then hopefully with everything that's happening with migration this year, we start to see more invitations in the new year. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tracy Chen and I'm the principal lawyer at Mason Chen Law Group. I'll drop a contact link below, so if you want to get in contact with myself or one of our fabulous lawyers or agents, you can contact us there. I've also just released our mini courses, so you'll be able to access courses, information online, on demand, and I'll drop the link below where you can access our courses. So today's video, we're going to talk about the Skilled Independent 189 visa. Now, for those of you who don't know much about this visa, it is a permanent residency visa, and it used to be the go-to visa. So it was the one that everyone actually used to go for. The 491, 190, all of that, it wasn't really a thing. It's more become an option for everyone now. However, it has been a little bit inconsistent. So what I want to do is start off about a background about the visa itself and how it works, then what we've been taught, and then what's actually been happening. So let's compare the three. So first of all, 189 visa is permanent residency. So you have to be invited to apply. So you would submit an expression of interest on Skill Select and you'd have to be invited to apply. However, the good thing is, once you are invited, then achieving PR is pretty secure, provided that you filled in your expression of interest correctly. So it's points tested, there's certain requirements for it, and as long as you claim points correctly, information is correct, then once you are invited, the chances of securing PR are pretty much spot on. The minimum points you need for this is 65 points. And we did see this year there were some people invited at 65 points, which we'll talk a little bit about later. So once you're invited, you will lodge your application. And once you are granted, you'll have permanent residency. Now you can apply for this visa whether you're onshore or offshore. It doesn't matter and it shouldn't make a difference. And the processing time for the visa can take a couple of weeks, especially the healthcare occupations. But I am aware there are some people that have been waiting for a couple of years for this grant. So it is a little bit inconsistent in that sense. So to be eligible for this, you first of all need to have an eligible occupation. So it's generally occupations on the medium term list. So there are more occupations like registered nurse, chef, as well as mechanical engineering. They are just some of the occupations that are on the medium term list. Occupations such as cook, marketing specialist, they're not available on the medium term list and therefore they're not eligible under this 189 visa. Now, as you can imagine, this is super competitive because it's permanent residency. Like, who doesn't want that, right? So according to Skill Select data, there is over like 100,000 applications sitting in there waiting to be invited. Now, yes, that sounds very competitive, but to be honest, the recent invitation rounds I've seen, there's a lot of people who got invited and didn't actually qualify. So for example, they overclaimed points or their skills assessment or English had expired because they just forgot about it, because this visa has not been active for the last couple of years. So people just forgot about it. People have been focusing on other things and then all of a sudden they get an invitation. So the good news about that is a lot of people who were invited won't be able to submit the visa application because they didn't actually qualify. So that's, I guess, is the good news. So now that we have a bit of background about the visa and what's been happening, let's discuss how this visa is actually supposed to work. And this is what we've been taught, okay? So 189 visa, points tested. You have to have over 65 points. It goes by the occupation ceiling at the time, what's in demand. So obviously it's very obvious teachers and nurses have been in demand over the last couple of years. And then the points you have, and then when you actually submitted the expression of interest. So that's how it should go. I'll just repeat that. Occupation on the medium term occupation list, it is points tested. Then they will invite based on the demand for the occupation. So for example, they're like, okay, this month we need this many amount of nurses. So they'll issue the invitations. But how they issue is based on how many points you have and when you submitted the EOI. So obviously people who had older EOI should get the invitation first. and that's how it should work, which is completely fair. Now, if you are someone who submitted an expression of interest, then you got higher English or something, and then you went to update your expression of interest, what will happen is when you update it and the points change, you will go to the back of the queue. However, you'll be in a different cohort because you'll be in a cohort of people with higher points. So it doesn't make too much of a difference. So if you're worried about that, don't worry, you will go to the back of the queue, but in the queue of people with higher points. So you're gonna get selected first anyway. So all very interesting. It shouldn't make a difference where you are. So what we've been taught is whether you're onshore or offshore, it doesn't matter. It goes by the parameters that I just spoke about. So previously during COVID, yeah, there was some priority for people who are onshore, but now it shouldn't make a difference, to be honest. And you guys may have heard of the 491 visa family sponsored stream, which is kind of similar occupations on the medium-term occupation list. However, the idea of that is once that occupation is filled for 189, then they'll issue invitations for the 491 family sponsored. So when people ask me, oh, you know, for example, accountants, like, do you think I can get it under family sponsored 491? I'm thinking, well, no, because when will they ever give out all the invitations for 189? A little bit kind of strange there. You can imagine how many applications there are sitting there for accounting alone. Anyway, that's how we're taught how it works. Now, during 2019 and 2020, I don't think there was a lot of action with this visa. We started seeing a little bit of action towards the end of 2021, maybe mid-2021 to end of 2021. We started seeing a few invitations issued, and they were mainly to medical occupations, so your nurses, your doctors, and everyone's just like, you know, why is it all healthcare? Obviously, we had a bit of a healthcare crisis going on here in Australia, so that's probably how they, you know, determined the occupation ceiling at that point. However, this year, and it was probably after July 2022, we started seeing a lot of invitations for 189 of other occupations as well. So your engineers, your university lecturers, all sorts of occupations. However, the surprising thing was they were issued to applicants offshore with less points. So there was a lot of applicants here in Australia with more points. So 85, 90, you know, 100 for some of our accountants. And they were not issued an invitation for the 189 visa over the last few rounds. Yet the people offshore were invited. And so I agree, it does not make any sense because it goes against everything that we've actually been taught. We've been taught that onshore, offshore doesn't matter. It goes by occupation ceiling, then it goes by points, and then date of effect of the expression of interest. So I'm really not sure what happened here when they invited offshore. Maybe they just needed more skilled workers. So they figured, okay, we'll invite the offshore to get them here, get the applications in and rolling. And now once that's done, we will start inviting onshore because they're already onshore. Maybe that's the case. It's something that we have queried with the department and we haven't received any response. We've asked around, no one really knows, but that's really the only explanation that makes sense. So that's how it goes. Now, based on that, don't be disheartened. I think that everyone will eventually get PR regardless of how or when. I honestly believe that. Over the last 2 years, since things have become very unpredictable in migration, I've worked with a lot of clients. Some clients who had been trying to obtain their permanent residency in Australia since 2016, 2017. So they've gone from student visa to 485 visa back to student visa. However, we reviewed their file. I discussed with them the plan. We followed it. It may have taken 6 months. It may have taken 12 months. However, we followed it and they did get invited and they did get their permanent residency. And you can check out reviews online. I'm sure you guys may know family or friends who have used our services even. They can vouch for that. And that's because I truly believe that if you take the right steps and use the right strategies, you can obtain your permanent residency. Whether it's through 189, whether it's through 190 or 491. It's just determining what have we got, what do we need to do, and where do we need to be to achieve this. So I think what's really important is let's take all these options. Let's maximize our chances to get them. Don't overthink it. Now, I understand there's been lots of, rumors here and there, this and that, but just focus on what we can control. We can't control a lot of those other things. I think it's super important to look at the facts and then be like, all right, let's just do this. Close our eyes. Let's do this. Let's not overthink it and give this a good shot. And I can promise you, our clients can vouch for it. A lot of them ended up getting invited. So it's super exciting. I hope that gave you a good summary of the 189 visa and how it works. So we went through a background on it. We went through how it actually works, how we've been taught it actually works, and then what actually happened this year. Based on that information, we're advising clients to take a certain pathway, we don't just consider 189, we look at 491, 190 and 189 for them, as well as employer sponsorship. And then through that, we start working on our pathway to the Australian dream, which is essentially PR. I hope you guys found that video helpful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with people who need it. Drop your comments below for what video topics you'd like me to talk about next time. And in the next video, I will discuss a summary on the 190 visa in Victoria this year. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.